Hi, I'm Yashraj Chouhan. I am from PGP1 Section E, and here is my presentation of video for the video assignment of section. So I'll be talking about the liberalization of economy in the 90s. 1991 was a year that changed the course of Indian economic history. The country was on the brink of collapse. Foreign exchanges reserve were on an all-time low, barely enough to cover 3 weeks of imports. Inflation was rising, unemployment was high, and industries were suffocating under excessive government control. For decades, India followed a socialist inspired economic model. The state controlled major industries and the infamous license Raj, which meant businesses needed government approval for almost everything. While the system aimed at self sufficiency, it led to inefficiencies, corruption, and slow growth. By the late 80s, the economy was struggling, the government spending far exceeded revenue, and international lenders were losing confidence in India. Then came the final blow, the Gulf War of 1990. Rising oil prices drained India's foreign reserves. Remittance from Indians abroad declined, and imports became costlier. By mid 91, India was on the verge of defaulting on its external debt. Situation was dire. Desperate for help, India turned to the IMF International Monetary Fund. The IMF agreed to bail out India, but there was a catch. Major economic reforms were required. In June, PV Narasimha Rao took charge as Prime Minister of India. He understood that a radical change was needed. His choice for Finance Minister, Dr. Manmohan Singh, a respected economist. Together, they introduced policies that would open up India's economy, setting up a stage for future growth. The reforms of 1991 were built on three key pillars: liberalization, privatization, and globalization. So, liberalization meant the government reduced its control over business. License Raj was dismantled, companies gained more freedom to operate without excessive bureaucratic restrictions. In terms of privatization, the public sector enterprises, many of which were running at losses, saw reduced government control. The private sector was encouraged to grow, increasing efficiency and competition. Globalization, what happened there was that the trade barriers were lowered, FDIs, the foreign direct investments were encouraged, and multinational companies entered the Indian market, boosting employment and technology transfer. The impact of these reforms was transformational. Economic growth accelerated. India's GDP, which had grown at a sluggish 3 to 4% before liberalization, started expanding at 6 to 8% annually in 2000. IT services boomed as the reforms coincided with the India's rise as a global IT hub. Companies like Infosys and TCS thrived, creating millions of jobs. Foreign investments increased as many multinational corporations, once hesitant to invest in India, started investing, bringing in capital, expertise, and employment. Consumer choices expanded as Indian markets, once dominated by few government approved products, saw an explosion of global brands. From cars to clothing, Indians had more choices than ever before. However, the reforms were not without criticism. Price inequality happened because while centers flourished, rural and small areas and the small industry struggled to keep up. Jobless growth. There was high GDP growth. Employment generation didn't always match the expectations. Environmental concerns also came up as rapid industrialization led to pollution and resource depletion. Despite these challenges, there was no denying that 1991 was a turning point. From an economy on the verge of collapse, India transformed into one of the world's fastest growing economies. The reforms set in motion a journey of growth, innovation, and global integration. Today, as India navigates a new economic challenge, the lessons of 91 remain relevant. Bold reforms, even in times of crisis, can reshape the destiny of a nation. Thank you.